Son of a bitch. All right, soft up. Get some soft on there.
My legs up.
More soft, Mellis. Listen to my voice. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right, John.
Saving Private Ryan shocked audiences with its brutal depiction of war, but for some veterans, the reality was even more harrowing. Today, we bring you the story of Johnny Joey Jones, a former U.S. Marine whose sacrifice in Afghanistan rivals any Hollywood script. From losing both his legs in combat to becoming a prominent Fox News contributor, Jones's journey is one of remarkable resilience. Join us as we discover how one Marine transformed unimaginable loss into a platform for inspiring millions.
I started my Marine Corps career as a radio technician. And so I was so naive to how the military worked. My only understanding of the Marine Corps was a movie called Full Metal Jacket. And in that movie, the most, Rambo guy in the movie was a combat journalist. So I thought, well, if I got radios, I'm at least that much closer. I thought I was the guy talking on the radio. I was the guy working on the radio. And so the way I explained it was a super nerdy job. And I was proud that they thought I was smart enough to do it, but it wasn't fun. So I volunteered for everything. I worked on a ship. I worked behind a 50 cal machine gun in Iraq. I was a range coach on the range and found my way into EOD, applied for it, tried out for it, basically they call it interviewed, and became a part of that brotherhood as well.
Early life and enlistment. Johnny Joey Jones was raised in Dalton, Georgia in modest circumstances. His father worked as a brick and block mason, while his mother cleaned houses to make ends meet. During summers, Joey worked alongside his dad and uncles as a brick mason, and in the fall, he played football. After high school, he found himself at a crossroads. He decided to enlist in the Marine Corps. He recalls a conversation with his high school sweetheart, Meg Garrison. "Listen, I'm not joining the Marine Corps because of you, but you're the only reason I would stay home." She looked at me and smiled and said, "Well, have fun." This exchange became a turning point for Jones, showing him he needed to mature and learn to put others first.
I've made the trek out to First Company, which is the name of that unit. The military works in a hierarchy. Usually a company is a part of a bigger unit. Mm-hmm. The EOD program's so small that First Company is kind of a standalone unit of less than 100 Marines that provide EOD support for all ground operations for 1st Marine Division, which is basically the West Coast of Marines. So that one company of when I was in about 80 Marines would handle the responsibility of EOD work for Marine Corps in Afghanistan for a whole year.
Wow. And
so we'd divide in half, spend about 30-40 of us at a time and change over.
Marine Corps career. During his 8 years of service in the Corps, Jones found his true calling as an explosive ordnance disposal technician. He first encountered EOD specialists while serving in Iraq in 2007. Quote, "Those specialists were just the epitome of selflessness. They're basically saying, these bombs are here to kill us. If somebody has to walk down there and take them apart, let it be me." And I love that. Inspired by their bravery, Jones pursued EOD training, which pushed him to his mental and physical limits. He deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan on separate tours. During his final deployment to Afghanistan, Joey's team rendered safe and destroyed close to 80 IEDs, along with literal tons of other unknown bulk explosives.
So I went over and kind of leaned over a wall to look at it and see if it were truly armed or if it had been spent. And honestly, I don't know what happened after that, because when I leaned back, I stepped on an IED that was there and threw me through the air. Really amazing experience. I'd watched IEDs blow up probably a half dozen times total with trucks or people. But when it was underneath me, one, there's no noise, and two, everything just turns into a giant cloud. And so it's a real surreal experience.
The fateful day in Afghanistan. On August 6, 2010, Jones's life changed forever in Safar Bazar, Afghanistan. As a 24-year-old bomb technician, he had been engaged in a grueling 5-day operation to clear streets and buildings of IEDs. The Taliban, aware of the approaching forces, had left behind a deadly surprise. Quote, "They left a minefield in their wake in the hopes of inflicting as much harm on us as possible, long after they departed." The night before the incident, Jones tried to catch some rest beneath his truck, but fate had other plans. His good friend, Corporal Daniel Greer, woke him early the next morning, requesting his help to investigate a storage unit. While analyzing a flare, Jones stepped on an IED. The explosion was devastating. It blew up underneath me. I landed on my back. The dust cloud went away. I felt my face before anything, oddly enough, and so I wasn't sure if it was still there as it should be. The blast resulted in the loss of both his legs above the knee and extensive damage to his right forearm and wrists. As fellow Marines rushed to retrieve Jones and Greer, Jones noticed that Greer showed no obvious wounds. He hoped his friend had merely been rendered unconscious. Tragically, Greer had suffered a fatal traumatic brain injury.
Once they took me off the heavy pain meds from Germany, that was a horrible time.
The phantom pains were often unbearable.
Sometimes it felt like someone was twisting my foot around to where it was trying to pop it off. You know, those are phantom pains. Those are much worse than real pain.
Recovery and rehabilitation. Jones's road to recovery began in an Army hospital in Landstuhl, Germany. When he regained consciousness, August 8, 2010, the first thought was for his friend. "Where's Greer?" he asked a nurse. Her response was both compassionate and pivotal. Quote, "She looked at me and she smiled and said, 'You've lost both your legs above the knee, but don't worry, hon, you're going to walk again.'" From Germany, he was transferred to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. Here, he embarked on an intense journey of physical rehabilitation that would span about 10 months. The process was grueling, involving not just learning to walk again, but adapting to a body that had been fundamentally altered. Quote, "Doctors had reattached muscles in new places, so that creates all this frustration. Despite the physical challenges, he found his mental outlook was his greatest asset. I was never resentful that I didn't have my legs. The hardest part was taking what I had and getting through the frustration and the pain to use it."
I was laying in a hospital bed in Germany 2 days after I got injured. They woke me up by pulling a tube out of my throat, so I was that sucked. And the nurse looked at me. She put a sponge on my head, wet my lips with sponges. I started to ask questions. I couldn't quite talk. She said, "Don't worry, hon, you're going to walk again." And in that moment, I realized if this complete stranger who did not have the medical expertise to make that guarantee, if she could stand there and believe in me, why couldn't I believe in myself? And anytime things got tough, I just remembered seeing her, hearing her voice, and thinking, you know what, man? She told me I was going to walk again, so why not? And then going to walk again became accomplishing any goal I put in front of me.
Education and transition to civilian life. During his recovery, he showed remarkable determination. Impressively, within a year of his injury, he had progressed enough to complete further education. In mid-2011, he embraced a new challenge by enrolling at Georgetown University. His academic journey reached its pinnacle in 2014 when he received his undergraduate degree from Georgetown. His time there proved transformative, not just for him, but for the institution as well. Jones initiated programs aimed at supporting student veterans, creating a lasting impact that continues to benefit others. He developed a peer support system at Walter Reed. This program connected veterans at various stages of recovery, fostering a community of mutual aid and understanding during the rehabilitation process. His dedicated advocacy for veteran issues caught the attention of policymakers. He secured a position with the Veterans Affairs Committee in the House of Representatives. This opportunity paved the way for the establishment of a recurring fellowship for injured Marines.
Well, first, Sean, just let me say that whatever injuries I sustained are nothing compared to the pain that the Gold Star family's gone through. I've seen it firsthand. I haven't experienced it, thank God. And my heart goes out to all of them, the dozens that I know and the 13 that were just created and everyone that has lost a hero overseas.
Career at Fox News. In 2019, Jones's life took another significant turn when he was hired as a contributor for Fox News. Initially brought on to offer insights on veteran affairs, Jones quickly proved that his perspective and communication skills extended far beyond this realm. As he explains, quote, "I was hired as a Fox News contributor in 2019, offering opinions on veterans affairs, but my role expanded as a sought-after voice on a variety of topics, including politics and pop culture. His ability to articulate complex issues in relatable terms, combined with his unique life experiences, made Jones a valuable asset to the network. His role grew to include substitute hosting duties for popular programs like Fox and Friends Weekend, and even the network's primetime programming. Jones also became the host of Fox Nation Outdoors on the network's streaming service. What Jones finds most rewarding about his job is the opportunity to give voice to perspectives that often go unheard in national media. He explains, quote, "I live in a small town in Georgia that has more cows than people. And when I go home or I go to these towns that I like to hunt in or do speaking engagements in, they look at me and they may talk with the same twang I do and they go, 'Man, thank you for saying that, because that's what I think and nobody else says it that way.'"
And what I've learned is that the greatest blessing I've ever had was the chance to help somebody else and to give other people the chance to help me.
Advocacy and inspiring others. Beyond his media career, Jones has dedicated himself to advocating for veterans and inspiring others through his personal story. He serves on the board of directors for Boot Campaign, a civilian-founded organization that provides comprehensive support to veterans. The organization focuses on treating post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries, chronic pain, insomnia, and substance abuse, issues that many veterans face after service. He's actively involved with the Warrior Bonfire Program, a nonprofit that organizes retreats for Purple Heart recipients. They provide a space for veterans to connect, heal, and support one another in their post-service lives. He more often than not uses his platform as a public figure to raise awareness about veterans' issues and to challenge societal perceptions of disability. Through public speaking engagements, media appearances, and his social media presence, Jones continues to inspire others with his message of perseverance and positivity.
I was just kneeling next to him in the dirt, next to his stretcher, and I just had, kind of hand on him, and I was just talking to him. He just said, "Sir, I'm so sorry I let you down," which at the time was kind of stunning, and he just wasn't something I expected, and it just speaks to the heart and the character of a Marine like Sergeant Jones. I mean, that at a time when he's not even sure that he's going to make it through the helicopter ride, all his thoughts are with the rest of us, and the fact that he's not going to be there anymore to help us. Just you wonder sometimes, just where will we find men like that?
Reflections on service and sacrifice. Every year on August 6th, Jones celebrates what he calls his Alive Day, the anniversary of the day he nearly lost his life in Afghanistan. For Jones, the day is not just a reminder of what he lost, but a celebration of what he gained, a second chance at life and a renewed purpose. Quote, "Be thankful for that and go do great things. We celebrate it like a birthday every year." Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts about Jones's story? Let us know in the comment section below.